everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing our mono black demon double damage deck that revolves entirely around Bloodletter of Aclazotz and Unstoppable Slasher. Unstoppable Slasher, it says whenever it makes contact with the player, they lose half their life rounded up afterwards. So typically they'll go to 18, then they'll lose 9 life, and then what happens is we have Bloodletter of Aclazotz in play that says during our turn, if an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. So technically, I guess, when this hits an opponent, Bloodletter will trigger, they'll go to 16, and then this will happen and drain half of their life total, which will be 8, and then Bloodletter will also see that, removing 8, and then win the game if it's the first time they make contact. But basically all that means, if they were at a million life or whatever life, whether it's odd, even, or whatever, as long as Unstoppable Slasher hits them and a Bloodletter is on the board and Unstoppable's half-life trigger resolves, our opponent loses the game. Unless, of course, they have some way to stay alive. There's a white card that says they can't lose the game. You never know. They might be crazy. But with that said, we've added one new card into this deck. I know a little underwhelming, but I think this deck often is pretty solved overall. So we're going to try out a card and the Harvester here. This card is pretty sweet overall. It is 1 and 2 black. Kind of has like a little bit of tough casting cost if you start playing multicolors. But the main thing that this is a demon. And we did not really have like a viable demon at the 3, 2, or 1 drop area. So Unholy Annex was really taxing, which we'll get to in a second. This is a 3-2, dies to cut down, dies to kind of a lot of things. But that's, again, not why it's important. It does have an ability on here that could make it good in spots where we have exile target creature card from a graveyard that was put there this turn. So against like attracts of reanimator decks or like haughty gem piles, if they haven't quite hit it too early and they put it in the yard and they try to helping hand, we can exile that in response. Or we can do it to ourselves. This is a very important part of the card, even though it might not come up too often today. But with Liliana Plus and a Harvester in play, we could technically down tick this, or say like they killed our Bloodletter at the beginning of combat, for example, and we're swinging a Slasher for whatever reason. Maybe they killed a Bloodletter because they're like, well, Slasher will do half damage. I have no idea. Let's say there's 2 Slashers, I guess. I don't know. But if for whatever reason they killed a Bloodletter at the beginning of combat and we attack, well, we can then use Abyssal Harvester here to tap an exile target creature card from a graveyard that was put there this turn, being the Bloodletter. This will then make a creature token copy of it, except it's a nightmare in addition to its other types, and then exile all other nightmare tokens you control. So at instant speed, we can kind of make another copy of this, or say we go to our opponent's turn and they remove this on their turn for some reason, and then with like say a sorcery removal spell or a Liliana minus, we can just sack this and then bring it back with the Harvester, and then the Unstoppable Slasher can do its thing right away for some reason like that. So it is cool, but the main reason is a demon, and Unholy Annex being the best card in our deck is why we kind of play it. So at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you control a demon, each opponent loses life and you gain 2 life, otherwise you lose 2 life. With the amount of kind of Boros burn and stuff like that, this card obviously becomes a lot more taxing to play in best of 1. Best of 3, you obviously have a little bit more time and space to do so, but in best of 1, oftentimes like we have to play this, and then we have to kind of play a Bloodletter or like an Archfiend. But I felt it pretty like nice to be able to play this on 3, play a Harvester on 4, and then be able to hold up a cut down or duress my opponent. Is kind of where it's felt like a lot different. Or even just play Harvester first, and then get to play the Unholy Annex, and then drawing into something like a cut down feels a lot better after that, because now we gained the life, and the Harvester can oftentimes trade up in a situation like that, so it's just nice overall. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and dive into games. I hope you all enjoy them, and if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Let's head out there and see how many times we can double damn some people. Opponent goes first. We have a 1, 2, and a 3 drop, and we have a lot of things that we want mana for in our deck, so definitely fine with that. But I don't want more land, I'll tell you that much. I think I'll allow Duress to hit my go for the third, I guess, because like Harvester is the only thing I got going for us, I guess. They're most likely going to Duress me now. Yeah. Liliana's a great hit. Also incentivizes them to use their Duress. And then now they might go land right into this. Or Glissa. Honestly, even better for us is that. And then we just get to go ahead and remove it.
No more distractions. Let's make this quick. Off you go.
Sure. It's only half my life total, you know. One. Ah, sweet. This one.
I'm tired of your secrets.
I mean, yeah, you gotta get rid of that and hope you hit a land, right? How good are you with the video game? Oh, they're giving up Aclazotz for free. I guess I have to block, right? 'Cause I'll get... Oh, what a sick draw for us. This should pretty much lock it up. Because we get the plus Lily before drawing that card.
Don't overthink.
That was Unholy Annex. It hits. And now we can minus on their slasher and kill it. Or they kill our Liliana in response. That can also happen. Nice draw. We play quite a bit of tap lands, but not as many as you might think. Get rid of the Harvester. They hit Liliana down. And then I'm probably just going to make a massive demon here.
Oh, that's
Especially if
what
I
you
just
believe.
keep hitting lands at this point. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I don't want to hit anything else. Just lands, please. That's where I'm at this point. Yeah. Alright. Never mind. Maybe I lied. Maybe I do want something other than lands. I mean, we are definitely, like... We're definitely in there. We got the drains coming. They're down to 10, essentially, because of the Unholy Annex. Here comes the Archfiend. There's a Liliana. Okay. Oh, that's permanently. Oh. I didn't realize that was permanently. That's a weird mechanic for a land, honestly. No. Sure. Yeah, I was like, no. Like, I will take the half-life loss to win the game, I guess. Very sick. First two lands, only 3 and 4 drops. Dude, what am I playing? Hello? Keep, and I guess the 4 drops gotta go. Please don't hit me. Don't really care. Don't really care. I care a bit, but like, I guess go for the throat. I guess it's Anoint. No, because they don't. Anoint doesn't hit 4 drops, so like we get to kind of isolate it, I guess. We're on that demon time. Demon, who would have thought? Now let's play the old card draw engine. We mauled, so having this in our hand is great. Honestly, this card is absolutely broken. Now we can kind of force them to start using some of that removal, although cut down is obviously very available here. Maybe I just wait, honestly, and just hold up my removal. Then maybe look to activate this. Oh, they missed a land drop? Okay. Honestly, the big difference in the game right now, if I had to say so far. In step, in turn. You're gonna stack. I have a demon. I have him. Okay, they use a cut down. They're smart. I thought maybe, you know, if they use the Anoint, not even like that it's a crazy play, right? But if they didn't use the Anoint, like, it'd be a little awkward. But now we get to go into our turn. And now we're getting to potentially put the pressure on pretty aggressively. Or they drew only more removal spells. Cut downs are dead. Anoint's not dead, but we can force them to use it, I guess. This is not... This is, like, obviously not a creature that works. Is it going to be the first time I died in my own Unholy Annex? It could be. Well, this Archfiend's not doing anything. I promise you that one. All right. Well, eventually, we will run them out of Magic the Gathering spells. Eventually.
I've always hated crowds.
Especially with Liliana in play to keep plussing. We just have to find another demon along 5 turns. 5 of them. That's a lot of turns. Go for the throw doesn't always hit, and I'd rather keep this for their Liliana. We could have waited until they attack, but I don't want them to gain any more life if I can refuse. Cut down seems bad here, but land also seems really bad, I guess. Like comparatively. Alright, here's a Bloodletter. No untap land to kill this one, eh? I mean, this game is purely defined by this Unholy Annex. Like, there's just no other ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? They're at 44 cards. We're at 41. The extra value that we've gotten, we mauled even. We started with the 6-land hand. Sure. I guess mana efficiency here is more important. Yeah. Just hoping we didn't have a removal spell. And then we get to obviously play a slasher there. We can plus, kind of maybe discard whatever. The only reason I hesitated is because, like, playing this and keeping this up is a little bit better, maybe. But then I can discard this to the Liliana, or I can just hold Liliana there and it doesn't necessarily matter that much. Mulligan. Deep pitch. We are big hold'em. Big old Texas hold'em right now. Just pass. Watch them play the mouse here and then cut down one of them. Oh. Sure. Should I sacrifice it? We force them to maybe protect it here, and then we can just anoint it. It's kind of my plan. And this protection and no other creature kind of tells us that they don't really have a lot more on the table, I think. But maybe they do. Who knows? I have another Anoint for backup, though. So it's kind of that situation. They play another land. They have nothing. I also have nothing in terms of land drops. Second game in a row, I've had to mull to 6, and my opponent concedes without even seeing that I missed a land drop. Okay. Hey. It's our hand, and it is good. And by good, I mean I don't have to necessarily mulligan this hand. I would love to be able to play with this hand. There's some hands, like when you're on the draw, you're kind of like, oh, you know, it's whatever. But this hand is definitely a way better on the play hand. We'll find ourselves maybe on the back foot immediately, potentially. Yeah. Yeah. Coming back, kind of cool. A second threat here sucks, of course. But also, if they're burned, it kind of sucks because then Unholy Annex becomes this like really awkward game. I have no pause. If they think I have a pause, they're psyching themselves out. There's nothing there. I got absolutely nothing. Sure. Yeah, now we definitely pass. Our greedy Boros players. Yeah, there's the second land. I knew it was coming eventually. You got, big dog. Yeah, they're obviously gonna sack the Swiss Spear, so each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. Yeah. Doesn't really matter. Like, again, they're gonna sack the Swiss Spear anyway, so I'm just gonna make it quick. I guess I could rely on them to make a mistake, but I don't really care. It's like, I think maybe I just interact with their hand as much as I can. There's a Shelter by Ghost, Monstrous Rages, and Shards. Okay. We know their hand kind of sucks in a way. With Liliana, we don't necessarily have to worry about the shards. I guess I just keep the monstrous rages to a minimum. Man. Oh, and there's a Swift Spear. Okay. That changes a lot. What I was afraid of, why I kind of didn't want to go for the Lily minus, but maybe I just should have. Then Swift Spear kind of has to go at Lily. Oh no, I'm tapped out. No way you target the Swift Spear. You know what this does, right? I don't know. Maybe we don't know.
Something suspicious is going on. Ah, one of your friends has to
Yeah, like, now which one do you take? Spoiler, you keep the Challenger. But not for me to decide. They're playing around cut down so much. I hope they keep. I hope you keep the Swift Spear, to be honest with you. I might keep it a buck. I was all for it. Then next turn, it's like play the Ritual Chamber, maybe plus Lily. If they really don't want to commit, they'll probably target Lily in terms of removing it. I haven't held priority once. My opponent is just like, I'm not getting cut down. They have like a fear of it.
I'll be back.
I guess I don't know what this card is, to be fair. Like, if that's a land. Apparently it's not. Apparently it's not. Not bad. Up to 10. Now we play the chamber. I make a 6/6 creature that ends up getting bodied by a Sheltered by Ghost, of course. You know, that stuff happens sometimes. Another removal spell in terms of like make them sack, or a Liliana would have been obviously preferred, is the card draw this turn when they're kind of reliant on this 1/2/2. I thought this was going to be a more of a burn deck, which is what the kind of format has been leaning into, as Aura decks have kind of been getting hated out a bit more with cards like Shelter or Sheoldred's Edict. But I don't know. We'll come back whenever they decide to accept a turn pass, or now they finally decide that, hey, you're right, it is my priority being held. I think it's no surprise here, but my Shelter, or my 6/6 is 100% blocking this Challenger. There's like no other ifs, ands, or buts about it. They play a Scavenger, so to me it seems like the Challenger's not getting in. That would make sense. That would make sense. See, I can just like do this and gain some life, or I can play Lilium minus, and Lilium minus seems good.
This is my home.
And then just a little Deep-Cavern Bat attack action is all I'm really after. No way. No way. No way that's the decision, right? Right? There's zero chance that that's the decision. One gives you card advantage. The other one just gives you like a little bit of counters. Okay, I guess maybe if it's a Heartfire hero on the back end, then maybe we got some talking to do, you know? But like, I don't know, Chief. I feel like we're in a little bit of a weird spot. Do I go for Harvester, or do I go for Slasher, or do I go for both? We play Demon here. I throw the Slasher up. Then I play a little Harvester action. I'm only worried about Slick Shot, kind of, because they would have to find a land plus have a Slick Shot for it to be like valuable here. Now I plus into my empty hand their open hand, and then of course Deep-Cavern Bat's flying in like the acrobatic bat it is.
We all
Crawling
have
is all the way
these
back, I think, from 7 at this point. I know I could attack here, but again, the only card I'm really scared of is like a Shelter by Ghost. Now, of course, they could have a shock for my Deep-Cavern Bat or something. They got rid of this, which tells me they either have a third one. As we saw, they already had one. But there's a fourth land. There's a third land. That's actually like somewhat worse for them at this point, because that means they're running out of like options. And another land, I think, is just absolutely devastating. But all at Lily, huh? If we waste the monster trades here, I'm pumped. I'm literally thrilled. Okay, and a wasted counter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. It has trample. You will hit it. You're fine. You know how Death Touch works? I don't know. Sure. I mean, maybe they're just cashing in, I guess, on 8 damage. That could also be the case, right? Seems good. Then we'll just unlock this and gain more life. What? 9, 10? I think there's no point in budging. The only way you lose is by overcommitting, and this is more of a practice here than it is like an actual thing I think you should do. Knowing people I've played with recently, like Questing Druid has been cards that I've had to go up against. We are in now for sure. Sweet. Find it. Yeah, I guess they shouldn't have been so overly critical of pumping the one creature, because again, I guess like it does do damage to me. It just seemed kind of absurd not to like rely potentially on the other card, because there, for example, as you saw, they end up putting 2 extra counters on the hero off the Scavenger to deal a little bit more. But if they would have put 2 counters on Scavenger, I actually wouldn't have been able to cut down it, because it would have been too large. And if this is something like a Shelter by Ghost, I think like the odds of them potentially getting back into the game, it's crazy, because if Shelter by Ghost gets attached to this, they now get to exile this 6/6 that's such a threat, and then there's no chance for it ever coming back. And now this gets another counter, and it's like a +2, +1, so now it's a 4/6 life gainer, and it is just like an absolute beast. Like, this can't get through. This isn't even able to attack yet, and just a Deep-Cavern Bat on top. So I think there was definitely an option to maybe be a little less counter oriented on this hero and go for the Scavenger, but sure. Oh boy, 1 drop, 2 drop, 4 drop, and 4 mana. Let's get in there. I'm committing to the bit. Oh, doesn't matter. Annoying. Probably Lightning Strike. I mean, like, it does matter, don't get me wrong, but it is like comparatively does not matter. This comes in. Gross. I guess I just stagger their turn and just make them use the Lightning Strike on my Deep-Cavern Bat. Okay, game. I swear sometimes it's the only way you lose the red. Like, look at this. Hi. Oh. Sure. Uh-huh. So this is you playing the Lightning Strike, the Nemesis, to make sure I can't gain life off my Deep-Cavern Bat. It's a plan. Worth mana. I mean, hitting a lot of land here is kind of crazy, though. Let's move to combat. We're in. Oh, let's go. Sick. Honestly, Cavern of Souls is more of a hindrance here. So it's Bloodletter. That's plus. Using Witch Stalker seemed kind of crazy, huh? Sure. Yeah. Here. All right, sweet. We got what we wanted. Because of this land, they should have been a little bit more cautious about it to leave open a red, because I probably wouldn't have gone for what I went for if I would have saw it like that. Deep-Cavern Bat, I personally wouldn't take it if I have the option. I would honestly prefer to do anything else. Do you have to take it? You may exile a non-land card from it. Yeah, so if we would have looked at their hand and it would have actually been like a creature or something, we actually don't take it. We let it get discarded with the Liliana. And the reason for that, this is like a small like tip you might not like instantly think of. You might be like, oh, Deep-Cavern Bat, take the card. But if you take it under this and then this dies, they now get the card back. But if it's one card in hand and we leave it, if it's not like a draw effect or anything, we just plus a Lily and they lose that card anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So it's very cool. All right, this is a 2-lander. I'll try. Most of our 2-landers have just been like all 3 drops and 4 drops. And this one's actually like a kind of a bit lower to the ground. So I think I'm okay to latch this. I guess we take cut down. And if I've been taught anything, it's to suplex this land war elves. But they don't play in it. Just because they can't, obviously. Because 2 swamps. Maybe there's not a forest in there. Guess is go for the throat, right? Because now it's like, what do they do? Land war elves feels weird when you have to play it this way, because now you feel like a tempo behind. If you don't just play the 2-drop. Yeah. Sweet. Here's my Liliana. Then we minus.
Nobody knows Domino.
They would have probably been happier if they had played the Land war elf there, but obviously, you know, one of the perks of going first. Although I guess if the same thing would have happened, we would just then go for the throat and then they would play a thing and then we'd land war elves, or we'd minus. But we'll see. What's the plan, brethren? Sure. Just play the Mosswood. Anoint, exile, go for the throat. Sure. Plus. Again, another situation where Cavern's actually like a bit worse. Ooh. I don't know about that one, big boss. Let's play this one. Perk of knowing your opponent's hand. Watch them just rip another one. It didn't matter. They're like, nah, dude, I just knew there was another one at top. So you see, what I do is I crimp my sleeves so I know what my removal is. Is that not allowed? Just like mana weaving. I mana weave my deck too, right? Oh, it's funny. Obviously, I'm trolling, but we're on this Deep-Cavern Bat inner look. I don't even care about the Duress, to be honest. I don't even know what I want to do. I can kill both of these and then they get another cycle here. Then this comes up and kills Lily. But if I'm minus, then like they don't get that option. We know what their entire turn is, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Holy cow. A cable ran across my arm and I thought it was a big bug. I don't know if you just saw me like tweak, but I definitely did. That's for sure. Now they get to land, they get to do it for free, but like at the same time, I'm forcing them to have interaction with my top end here, which they get 2 looks, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe just go for the third and just plus, and then just hold the Bloodletter back. I mean, I could see that being the option. Playing a land first before cycling is like a little bit of a mistake, because if you find another cottage, you're obviously going to want to have played that down first. But we'll see. Yeah, it comes down. We have 6 damage in the air, unless of course they have a cut down. Then we don't have 6 damage. Go to combat first. This one. Pauses, scream, cut down. Sure. He's got 4 damage then. And we have lethal. Now Mosswood can't really attack and get a free trade. We still have 4 damage in the air. Unholy Annex, if we draw it, is also another 4. Of course, they could find removal at some point. They can also now make a 1/1. They can bring up the cottage and block. Or they can make their own 6/6 demon. Sheltered by Ghost Smile. Ooh, another land is actually not good. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Pass. Oh boy. You're unlocking the other mode, huh? I mean, fair enough. I think this game is going to be exactly what we talked about now in the the other game, is that whoever kind of has the ritual online first is going to end up winning it. Sure. Force them to use that Duress in case we ever find a Lily. Is kind of the idea. Now they gain 2. I get drained for 2. We do find a Liliana. I guess the Lily comes down. I guess we minus.
This is my home, and I don't approve. One of your friends.
And Mosswood goes, and then we attack for lethal. Which, so one thing you do have to note, this is a triggered ability that happens. It doesn't happen immediately, so if we attack and then they say they block our Bloodletter of Aclazotz, what happens there is Unstoppable Slasher will make contact and they will lose half their life, but our Unstoppable Slasher will hit, but Bloodletter will have died and will be gone. So the kind of double damage life loss won't happen. Just like a weird thing. They take a draw. They don't lose double life now, huh? Our Liliana standing strong. Unstoppable Slasher now permanently removed. They're just getting that option off the table, which totally makes sense to me. Once again, Unholy Annex would be great. Maybe a second go for the third from our opponent. Who really knows? A third land drop. Maybe he's playing that Mosswood back down. Liliana plus is possible. Yeah, so they're fully tapped out now. All right. Demon, I guess. If we had drawn Unholy Annex there, they would have lost the game. Which is tough, obviously. Because Unholy Annex would have dealt 2, and then this would have doubled it, but we have an option here. Oh no, they got a lot of options. Landware else? Tapping the cottage. I guess they kind of have to, right? Because these wastes are so painful in a spot like this. I do have lethal in the air, though. Do not have anything. Sure. Maybe I won't attack, dude.
Sorry, I'm not interested in dying today.
1. Combat. Yeah. Weirdly enough, we get out of that game because of poor draws, and that is one of As much as I've been gassing up the fact that I love that Land War Elves is in Standard, this is one of the downsides of Land War Elves in Standard, is when you're playing them in your deck, they sometimes can be the worst top deck of all time. It's like, that's no different than them drawing what we did. But at least ours, I guess, can technically remove something. But like, it can't touch this. And so it effectively does nothing. It's just flying and everything like that. So it's a little tough, but one of the outro, I guess. All right, so here we are to talk about this. And I will say, at least for me, this is one of the biggest swing decks that I've had to play in a very long time. And what I mean by that is it either feels like when I'm playing this kind of deck, like I call it Demon Time, but it's like the double damage deck, the mono black double damage. But it feels like when things are going well, like I just win 7 games in a row. But when like I lose a game, it's followed up by 4 losses, right? It's such a weird thing with this deck. And we tried something out. We didn't try too many new cards in this deck. I know a lot of my decks have been trying to do that. But this is one that I felt was like pretty solid. I had a pretty good win rate with it at one point. I think it was like 17-8 playing mono black. But we are putting in the Harvester, and now this has like a really cool ability on it. Could be potentially viable in terms of like, oh, we're against Haughty Djinn. They didn't hit anything early, and now whenever they do it later, we can then exile it, even though that's not necessarily that great. It's also a little awkward whenever it's like, you're looking at Worming Emergent Stack or something, for example, and they've put the Atraxa in the graveyard on turn 2, and you don't have this in play to exile it because again, it has to enter there this turn. So it is kind of a soft card, but a thing that this does fill in the gaps for is that it is a 3-mana demon for when we're awkwardly stuck on those lands that we've been on quite often before, at least in the past for myself. And having an Unholy Annex to ensure we're just like still just gaining life and draining our opponent is more or less the kind of purpose of it. And this is also another thing your opponent has to like kind of cut down and get out of the way, especially if an Unholy Annex is online, because they want you taking damage. If you're going to draw a card, I want you to take the 2 damage for it. You know what I mean? So it's like inherently the idea is like, well, if I can kill that and maybe they don't find anything and I put enough pressure on, I can win. But weirdly enough, like this just getting removed frees ways for like other cards like Unstoppable Slasher or Bloodletter and things like that. But outside of that, it's just kind of mono black target removal. Duress actually showed up quite often and quite big today. I do like 3 instead of 4. I think 4 is just a little too much right now, especially with how heavy a lot of the creature decks are. One, just playing creatures, and Jeskai kind of Convoke is coming back, and oftentimes they are just creature decks, so Duress is finding a little less of a home there. But just being a little bit more loaded up on just different types of removal because of how the format currently is at and settled in with is just kind of nice. And then having Deep-Cavern Bat to follow up Duress is super clutch. And to something like a Liliana. I think one thing you'll notice kind of right away is kind of my uncertainty of what to commit to in this deck. We have 24 lands, which seems reasonable. You could play 25. But as you could tell, typically when you look at a deck list and there's a lot of 3-ofs, we're not entirely sure what our strongest cards are and when we want those cards a little bit. I know like I'm making a video on the deck, but I can tell you for certain we want 4 Unstoppable Slashes in this deck and 4 Unholy Annexes. I know that much is a fact. That's just a fact. Now, we have all this removal, but this is dead against control for the most part outside of Edict and hit a Planeswalker. So we're kind of weird on that. We don't want to be too committed on it a little bit. Deep-Cavern Bat. It's a 4 of. Just super strong, hard interaction. So we're down to keep 4 of these. Bloodletter of Aclazotz and another 4-drop in our opener and a super aggressive Boros Burn and aggro matchups. I think having too many of these is too expensive. Especially when Unholy Annex is a card that we want to drop on turn 3. A lot of times if we drop this on 3, we just die if our next turn is just play one of these. The 2 life we gain and the creature body is probably not big enough. So this is one of those weird things where I didn't want to commit too many more of these. There is another demon I considered playing. It's the but it is 4-drop one. Do I not have one? Yeah, it's Desecration Demon. I think this is a previous card, but I thought about putting it in for like a spot like this, just something else we can put down that does cause problem. But with the rise of Jeskai, I kind of felt like, because it just says sacrifice a creature, it doesn't specify it has to be a non-token creature, that it was a little bit tough. Also, don't worry about the 4 demonic packs that is crafted. I'm not doing anything crazy. Don't look at me. You don't need to know about that. That might be something I'm kind of maybe, I don't know, figuring out in the future, but who knows with me. So with that said, I hope you all enjoyed the video regardless, and I hope, even though it was a little bit of changes to this deck list I've been playing, that it's not too much or too underwhelming, I guess, is in a way, as I kind of, you know, sometimes some decks just don't change that much, and this, I think, happens to be victim of that, where it's like, I thought there was a couple more demons I wanted to play, but realistically, with how aggressive the meta is, I found them to be either slow or just like adding too many top end cards that I don't really want right away, and maybe the meta will shift, get ever so slightly slower, and we can afford to do that. But with that said, I hope you all enjoyed regardless, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.